Thank you all for being here, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honour to be here tonight, and I thought I'd just quickly give you that brief history of why I ended up touring refugee camps with Richard Flanagan. Richard's a mate of mine and someone I'm a great admirer of. He is someone that I look up to. In a way, he's a role model for the way he takes on social issues in this incredibly intense and fearless way. Although I often tease him that he has this sense of paranoia, and I'm sure it's because he lives in Tasmania. He doesn't actually accept that, but I remind him constantly about it. He rang me late one night and said, "I've just been offered this extraordinary trip with World Vision of refugee camps, but I feel tired and I'm just not sure that I'm going to take it on." And I said, "Flan, we're going, mate. We are going there." Having spent a month in Afghanistan during that war, I was asked repeatedly the question, why did you not tell a story of any people who are living their lives under that horrific circumstance that was the 14-year-long war in Afghanistan? And I'd like to just add there that they say it went for 14 years. In my opinion, it hasn't stopped, and it was going long before that 14-year time was marked with the Americans' entry into Kabul. So obviously for me, the opportunity to go and see these many Afghans fleeing the horror of what is slowly continuing to unfold in the Middle East was an extraordinary privilege, and one that I jumped at. And I have to say, I was completely unprepared for it. People often say, how do you cope at the end of an experience like that? I'm lucky enough to be able to go back to my studio, and I'd like to talk to Malik about that when we discuss this, about how do you unpick the things that you've seen. I don't believe you should ever forget what you've seen, but you need to live with it, and you need to carry it in an elegant way so that you can make the most of it to share that story. I guess I'd just tell you about one little child that I met. We flew into Lesbos and watched boats coming up on the shore. I saw things floating in the water and was told that they were bodies. In that month alone, 3,500 people had drowned in the water between Turkey and Lesbos. It was the most graphic, extraordinary, tragic thing that I've ever seen. But we then followed the refugees right up towards Germany on their path, and with them, travelling with them. And every step of the way, seeing people being turned away because their papers weren't in order was just a breathtaking thing to witness. And in a little Serbian transit camp halfway across Serbia, and being from Sydney, I wasn't used to the temperature. I had no idea that Lesbos was covered in snow when we were there. So the refugees crossing through the middle of the night in 9 kilometres of open water, wearing life jackets that I bought home that had packing material in them that are actually neutrally buoyant. So if you can't swim and you fall in the water and you fall a metre down, you're not going back up again. They're neutrally buoyant, all of them. They're crossing 9 kilometres of open water that takes 3 hours in those boats in minus 20 degrees. I had no idea about that. And in the Serbian transit station, it was minus 24 degrees. And I sat with a little girl who looked like my daughter, the same age. Maybe we'll talk about this when Malik's up here. She was 6 years old and her name was Heba. And not every child wants to draw when you give them paper. Some love drawing, some don't. It's this often put upon artists that drawing is the answer to all children's problems, but not all children want to draw. If I put paper in front of my little brother at the same age, he would have told me to piss off. But little Heba picked up that paper and started drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing, and every drawing was a beautiful drawing of a tree, of an orange tree, of her family, of playing, of beautiful scenes from Syria through a 6-year-old's eye. And I asked her to draw her home. And she looked at me, the interpreter told her what to do. Sort of an ashen look came across her face. She put her head down and she drew very quickly, much more quickly than she'd been doing before, deliberately and beautifully. She handed me the piece of paper. And I walked away and opened the piece of paper, and it was a little tiny house with 2 helicopters above it and bodies. So most of the things that I've done since then have been for that little Heba. And tonight, I hope she's safely in a warm bed in Germany, and I'm sure she is. She was on that road and she was safe, and she was leaving this horror behind her. But in that 1 minute silence that we just had, I wondered what Abe and Malik, who they thought of in that 1 minute silence, because it's hard for us to have the experience of meeting people like little Heba. And that's why it's such an honour to have you here, Malik, tonight, and for you to perform in the Opera House for us Australians in our safe and beautiful environment, to have the opportunity to meet people who have lived the life that a little person like Heba is living and on her way to now. So I'm honoured to be here. I thought I'd hold it together better than that, but we'll bring some new... I should just say as well, Jamie, thank you very much for your powerful presence here. It means a lot to have it in this place, which is a very important place where big decisions are made. And thank you for being here as well, Jamie.